Hello, welcome to Eric Hates Games. This is a talk show about games, the people who make them, the people who play them, and everything in between. Each week we pick a topic and discuss. There will be tangents, there will be disagreements, but most of all, there will be games. If you have an idea for an episode or have questions you'd like answered by our esteemed gaming experts, send an email to @gmail.com. This week, we'll give you the first half of the show for free, but if you want to hear the rest, that'll be just 99 cents. My name is Eric, and I hate DLC. So, DLC, what is it?
DLC literally stands for downloadable content, but it's known in other ways also, such as like microtransactions or in-app purchases, and it pretty much allows players, whether they've already purchased the game or whether the game be free, to buy extra content, maybe making the game better, adding to the game, or purely for cosmetic reasons.
Cool. So, if I were to buy Pac-Man, for example, what's the DLC there?
Pac-Man DLC may be like Miss Pac-Man, so like maybe like an extra campaign where you're playing as Miss Pac-Man, or it could even be, let's say, like a different skin for Pac-Man.
Different costume. So by skin, I just want to make sure that we all understand we're not like that Antonio Banderas movie where he uses different skins of different humans. Skin is just like a costume, right? So, and that is a lot of the flack that Miss Pac-Man got, is that Miss Pac-Man does play differently, it's faster, but she is just a different skin of Pac-Man, which is, or reskinning, for example. But, so let's try to delineate between these many different names for DLC. So Rakshan, can you tell us a little bit about microtransactions?
Yeah, sure, of course. So microtransactions, as I've experienced in the past, is looking at a whole store of different things that you can buy that will be added to your game inventory. You know, such as different dances, emotes, cosmetics. More prominently with Fortnite, you'll see a lot of people buying skins for their guns, buying skins for their umbrellas or the gliders whenever they drop from the battle bus. Mm-hmm. So what it does is it offers more actual like cosmetics and dances and stuff like that to your character, but it doesn't really help you with gameplay because it doesn't make you better at the game. It's just to show people that your character looks different.
Just to show people that you look different. Do you want to give us a little bit more on that, Gavin?
Yeah, I mean, I play a game called League of Legends, which is probably one of the most popular games in the world, and their main source of income in terms of like the game itself is from purely cosmetics in game, like how you can change the way your character looks. And the way that it works is like they have systems, you can play as a certain hero and get multiple different costumes for that said hero, but there's also different aspects of the game that they thought, hey, maybe players might want to have a little bit more freedom in terms of like what they see and what they display to others. So they have wards also, which give you sight around the map of the game, and you can also change the look of that. So
you changed the look of the ward. I thought you had to pay money to use a ward. I was like, wait a second,
no. that would be unfair, honestly.
Okay.
But everybody gets access to wards, but you pretty much, it's just purely cosmetic in terms of everything. And sometimes they even do, since they know that like cosmetics is purely where their money generates from, well, not purely, but you know, they also do like mystery skins. So like they'll give you a box and like it'll be cheap. It'll be like cheaper than a normal skin, and it could be a mystery. You get any skin out of like all the skins, and I've done them personally, and I've gotten $30 skins for $5. Okay. So there's an appeal also to just like sometimes randomness, but also just the appeal of changing the way the game looks because you like the game so much.
Okay, so almost in a way to support the developers further, especially for free-to-play games.
Exactly.
Right.
Yeah. I mean, you can still blow a lot of money on those things. My friend David, love the dude. Over 6 years, he has spent like $5,000 on League. That's not an over-exaggeration.
Oh, no. 5,000.
That's like
very bad.
Pretty accurate.
I don't know about
I think that's
that.
actually under the amount he spent.
For what?
cosmetics. He really likes League.
Yeah.
Okay, so he really likes League, and he really likes the way that his character looks in that game.
Yeah.
And okay, that's interesting. So another subset of DLC is in-app purchases, and it's kind of the same as microtransactions, but to me there's a little bit of a difference. So, Anthony, have you ever played Candy Crush?
I have not personally. I think I have before when I was a little younger. I think I remember losing, and it's like, oh, you can get extra lives if you watch this ad or pay 99 cents.
Yes, exactly. Or in addition to extra lives, you can also get like a candy breaker, I think is one of the common power-ups, where
it speeds up levels, I think.
You can speed up levels, and you can also break out a specific box. So instead of swapping, you can use this power-up to break one, and then it'll fall. Okay, and that is, I don't know, 49 cents or something like that. But of course, all of these add up to be, as you mentioned, extreme money makers for these companies, to the point where Candy Crush makes millions per day, and I think less than 1% of the people who play Candy Crush actually spend money on it.
Wow, less than 1%?
Yeah, I think it's around 1% of the players actually pay.
I didn't even know that.
Whoa.
I thought like a lot of people spend money on it.
Yeah, and they're posting annual revenue in the billions.
Wow. Okay.
Jesus.
So it's a big money
insane.
maker.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's
And then slightly different than microtransactions or IAPs are expansion packs. Have you ever played a game with an expansion pack, Adam?
Yes, The Witcher 3, which its expansion
So
packs
good.
are really, really good.
They're flawless.
Why? Why are they good?
Well, for one, they expand the content of the game, which is usually what they're for. However, in the case of The Witcher, both the expansion packs are basically full-sized games in their own right. Like, the second one, I believe, was like up to 20 hours of just main story.
And how much did that clock in at, money-wise?
I think I think it was $20 for both the expansion packs.
Per pack.
$20 per pack?
Yeah, per expansion.
It
So
was either per or for both of them or something like that. I remember
When they
being
first
surprised
came
at how
out.
cheap it was.
okay.
Yeah.
I don't know now. Now
But-
it could be more, could be less.
It's probably less because it's a lot older, but yeah.
But that's an example that people generally point to for being good.
Yes.
In terms of like good DLC that's given its praise, then yeah, like The Witcher 3 is, well, I mean, I don't know if it's game of the decade, but it's up there.
Yeah,
So
yeah.
like inevitably the DLC for it are gonna be good, really good.
So, funny thing about The Witcher 3, slight tangent, is it comes from Project CD Red.
CD Projekt.
Legendary.
CD Projekt Red.
Yes.
Polish, is that right?
Polish, yep.
Yeah.
And that game made so much of the whole country's revenue that they put Geralt on a stamp for
Are you
a long
serious?
time. Yeah.
Really?
So Geralt was on Polish stamps for a little while because The Witcher 3 was such a big part of the
country.
GDP. Yeah,
Wow.
yeah, of Poland.
That's crazy.
The president of Poland gave Obama a copy of
The Witcher 3?
I don't know if it was The Witcher 3 or if it was the book. It's based off of a book.
Yeah.
So the president of Poland gave a copy of that to Barack Obama.
Awesome.
Fun fact. Yeah,
That's
very
awesome.
interesting.
One other thing I want to touch on with expansion packs, because board games often get forgotten in our discussions, but expansion packs are very popular in board games. So a game like Settlers of Catan has at least, I don't have an exact number, at least half a dozen expansion packs. And so you can buy Settlers for, I don't know what it runs, 30, 40 bucks nowadays. And then the expansion packs are anywhere from 20 to 30 bucks each, and they expand the game content. And what's nice about board game expansion packs is that they can often be used with other expansion packs and with the base game, and sometimes standalone. So now you have endless combinations of games where, to the point where people are very concerned when they walk into my house because I have about 12 copies of Dominion. And they're like, why are there so many Dominions in your house? And I'm like, oh, they're all different expansions. You don't understand.
Is Dominion part of that?
No, Dominion's a different board game. It's a card game.
Okay.
But like, yeah, each expansion pack in Dominion adds a new mechanic and new cards to the game.
Oh, it's kind of like Hearthstone when Hearthstone does expansion packs.
Exactly, but Hearthstone and Magic the Gathering work on a rotation basis, so only the most recent sets are legal.
Oh yeah, they do wild and standard gameplay.
Exactly. Whereas a game like Catan, the players can choose what they want to play with and what they want to mix and match.
Oh, okay.
It's like Settlers of Catan, Warriors of Chaos, Settlers of Catan, Warlords of Draenor.
Oh, games with 3-word titles?
Yeah.
Oh,
well,
yeah.
no. So I was just throwing in other
yeah,
game
yeah.
titles in just for the fun of it. Like,
Yeah, exactly.
If you want to play a Settlers Catan campaign themed with the Warriors of Chaos,
Yeah.
or if you want to play with the Warlords of Draenor, World of Warcraft.
There you go.
World of Warcraft, one of the worst expansions ever, but it wasn't that bad.
Yeah, so we should touch on, before we break, why these DLC get so much hate.
So one of the big reasons I always hear is that a lot of companies don't finish their game and want you to pay for the game and then pay for this extra content that should have been part of the original game. And in some cases that is pretty true, especially with a lot of bigger games. I could come up with arguments for both sides as to why it's good or bad. One being that the price of games hasn't really increased at all in the many years, so I could see why they would do that. But still, then there's companies like CD Projekt Red who, again, they released The Witcher 3, which was a full game, and then released 2 DLCs, or expansion packs, which are also the size of full games. And then there's something like, I can't think of an exact example, but EA tends to leave their games glitchy messes when they start out. I remember the Battlefield games for a while tended to fall under that category. I think lately they've been getting better about not being glitchy messes when they come out, but for a while that would happen and they'd have to update them, but that's completely different.
It's slightly, a patch is slightly different than extra content, but
Yes.
I understand what you're saying. There was a trend for a little while until players got very angry about it of on-disc DLC. And that was like what you said, they finish everything, but they only release 90% of it. And then the last 10% you have to pay more money for. But we will talk a little bit more about the cons and the potential pros of DLC. As long as you've purchased the horse armor for this episode, we'll see you after the break.
So I'm sure everybody knows about the Kingdom Hearts series, a crossover between Square Enix and Disney. And there's a lot of games, so maybe you're curious, where should I start? What's the rundown? Well, we're gonna go over that. Kingdom Hearts 1 stars Sora and his Disney friends going on an adventure. Comes out PS2 in 2002. Now, your next logical thing would think Kingdom Hearts 2 came out, but there was a game before that called Kingdom Hearts Chain of Memories for the Game Boy Advance, which got a remake called Rechain of Memories in 2007 for the PS2. And that's a game that takes place in between the Sora losing his memories, blah blah blah. There's a year time skip for Kingdom Hearts 2. Kingdom Hearts 2 happens. Just kidding, not yet. In 2009, 358 comes out. 358 is a game that takes place in between Chain of Memories and Kingdom Hearts 2, and kind of in between Kingdom Hearts and Chain of Memories, so like, they're kind of like, they all kind of happen like in between, you know? Obviously these two connect. So then, where do you go after Kingdom Hearts 2? Well, in 2008, we got Coded, which actually is a direct sequel to Kingdom Hearts 2, though is more of like a spin-off game because it just has the Disney characters. It came out for the mobile phone in 2008, and then they released the remake Recoded on the DS. So the next game that comes out is Birth by Sleep. And what's that? Well, that's simple enough. That is a prequel to the game starring Ventus, who is kind of like Sora and kind of like Roxas, who's the protagonist of this game. They're all kind of the same person, but you can play for yourself. And then after that comes out Dream Drop Distance. Now Dream Drop Distance introduces time travel into the series. That gets wacky. That takes place like right after coded, though also you can't really understand it if you haven't played the other games. So then after that, you may think, okay, now I can finally play Kingdom Hearts 3, right? Well, wrong. In 2017, they released Kingdom Hearts 2.8, and it includes two things. One, it includes Kingdom Hearts 0.2, and also includes Kingdom Hearts Backup. It's a mobile game. I don't remember when it came out, 2015, 2016, and it's very crucial in learning the backstory, and just in case you want to play it, they included a 2-hour movie in 2.8. There are numerous compilations that came out across the PS3 and the PS4 that'll help you out. They released 1.5 plus 2.5. Obviously, includes the content of both games. What's 1.5 plus 2.5? That's 4. That's Kingdom Hearts 4. We finally get Kingdom Hearts 3. That comes out, blah, 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 and then later on in the year, we're getting Remind, so, which is DLC. So there. It's pretty simple if you guys want to play it. I totally recommend it.
And welcome back to the show. If you're just joining us, we're talking about DLC, downloadable content. And we're going to go a little bit more about the issues that come up with DLC, but we also want to talk about the potential Dr. Jekyll in this debate here. What are the potential pros to DLC? So Rakshan, one of the bad things about DLC is that it's potentially predatory. Mm-hmm. And it's so designers will put all these microtransactions into their games, maybe allegedly hoping that they will get purchased by someone who is not responsible with their money. Can you tell us a little bit about that?
Right. So back when Black Ops 2 was coming out with their downloadable content, one of the maps that I saw that I was really into was Mob of the Dead. And what they did was recreate Alcatraz just in San Francisco. They recreated Alcatraz, and so when I saw that map and I saw the whole layout of it, I was like, oh cool. You even get to fly a plane over to the Golden Gate Bridge, upgrade your weapon there. Oh, how much is this? I saw the price and I'm just like, well, hopefully my parents won't mind if I spend like, this much money. And because the credit card is already entered in, because we had to buy Xbox Live at the time, some years later, it's already there, the credit card info, so I'm just like, maybe $15 or how much the DLC cost. Maybe that much isn't going to be noticeable, but it definitely, DLCs definitely do have they definitely will be predatory towards people that aren't responsible with the money and do not pay attention to the price tag.
Yeah, I totally agree, not just on a personal anecdotal basis, but also a psychological basis. There is precedent that shows that if you get a player to buy once, they are far more likely to buy again and again and again and again. So oftentimes, what I see that's very, very troubling to me is nowadays I play some games that have tutorials, and the tutorials are teaching you how to play the games, and the tutorial will actually take you to the shop and ask you to buy something. Mm-hmm. And it'll give you credits. It'll say, here's 100 credits, buy a new costume.
And it will use up all the credits.
But the problem is what that does to your brain is, first of all, it teaches you where to buy things. And it also makes you more likely to enter that shop again and purchase again, which is troubling to me. But I have seen students who've put hundreds of dollars on their parents' credit cards for GTA, whatever. I don't even know. Cars?
Shark money.
Shark money?
Yes, so
Shark.
They're called shark cards, and they go up in increments of $20 So they cost between $20 or $10, $20 up to like maybe $60, $100.
Yeah, around 100,
and it varies between like getting a couple thousand, 10,000, 100,000 to millions of dollars in game currency.
Okay, and I asked this person, this was a specific person in my life who did this, and I asked them, what are you buying? And they said, essentially they said the same thing. Mm-hmm. I'm buying money in game so I can get this new car. And I said, is there any way to get the car without purchasing money with real life money? And he said, yes, but you have to play longer. Mm-hmm. And so I brought this to his attention and kind of blew his mind. I said, so essentially you're paying more to play the game less. Mm-hmm. And he was like, yeah.
I think he realized it was that way out.
And I get it. Listen, I understand. They literally used to be called, unashamedly, time saver packs. And they were very popular in racing games. So if you didn't want to play all of Need for Speed's campaign to get the supercar, you just pay $4.99, save some time, and you get to the guts of the game, the real meat and potatoes. But you know, it also gets out of hand to a point. Anthony, do you know anything about pay to win or pay to play mechanics in games?
Pay to play. I have seen in some online games there is like the memberships. Like if you get the memberships, you get like the full access to the thing until it expires, or you have to like renew it.
Mm-hmm.
That's probably annoying to me in particular. I don't know if it's annoying to other people, but yes, that's one example of why it's annoying to me. But if it's like pay to play, another thing could be like, as brought up, microtransactions. You get an item, you use it and you buy it again and again and again. It's like a cycle of badness.
Yeah, exactly. And if let's just have a basic example. If you are playing a racing game and the idea is for you and Adam to go from this side of the couch to this side of the couch, start moving them at a basic rate. Okay, the same rate. Now, pause. Adam pays 99 cents to get a speed boost. Keep going. Okay, and this is an example of pay to win, where the purchases that you make actually affect the game and its mechanics within. And a lot of people are very, very sensitive to this idea.
Of course.
Because if you're playing chess, if I just pay $5 to move my knight twice, that's kind of nonsense.
It's unfair.
It's
Very
unfair.
unfair.
Yeah.
There's another game. It's interesting you mentioned pay to win. So like Escape from Tarkov. It's a first-person shooter. It takes place in a war-torn province of
early
Russia.
access, right?
Yeah, it's still early access. It's beta. There's multiple. Yeah, it still is. And they're working up. They recently just released a new patch, which is one of the biggest patches that they've released, and they have a whole new military base for you to explore. And it's really cool. But you know, kind of come back towards the topic. There's 3 or 4, I think there's 3 main editions you can buy, which is a standard, Prepare to Escape, and Edge of Darkness. And what those offer you are secured containers, like a 2x2, 2x3 container, a 3x3 secured container, which allows you to save items during raids that you have the potential of losing. But they recently updated it so you can't put weapons in those cases, which most people would put weapons in the cases. Now you can only put items to trade or like throwables, money, stuff like that.
Oh, so it gives them the upper
and so that ties into pay to win, because certain people spend that much money on the Edge of Darkness edition, and they get like the best armor in the game. They get one of the good helmets. They get a full weapon like an AK. They get multiple pistols.
Is it permanent though?
It's permanent after every wipe. It's not permanent.
Okay.
So like if you use it, you use it. If you die in raid with it, you know, you lose it. But at the start of every wipe, you have those items.
Yeah, like for me, that seems unfair.
However, it's not as much as the people who own the press kit release, which they get literally everything. But the people who have the Edge of Darkness edition have a little bit of an advantage over some of the other players, because they don't have to do quests for the traders. They just have to level up and spend the money through the traders.
Oh, okay.
In-game money, that is.
Interesting. Yeah. So one of the potential benefits of, and this is again potential because it's arguable, benefits of microtransactions and DLC being very tied into the DNA of most games that come out today, is that we have more free-to-play games, and that allows for bigger player bases and more accessibility. Does anyone here play a free-to-play game?
League of Legends was one that you mentioned earlier. That's really popular, one of the most popular. Any of the Battle Royale games, really, except for the Call of Duty ones, are now usually free to pay, exception being PlayerUnknown's Battlegrounds on PC, unless they change that.
Okay.
No, it's still paid, yeah.
On phone, it is, interestingly enough, free though.
Yeah.
A game I guess you could say is free to play, but there's also microtransactions, is Fire Emblem Heroes, I think. Yeah, it's all right, but still there's microtransactions.
It's on the phone, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
So the game is free to download, free to play, to your heart's content, until you want to do certain things, right? And then you're prompted to pay. Is that correct?
The story itself is free, but if you want to like summon a new hero, that costs orbs. they're the summoning items as mentioned before, but they're also available to buy via money as well.
So you purchase orbs to purchase things in game.
Pretty much.
This is another psychological thing
It's
that I
also
don't want to go too far off into Psychland, but this is called this is abstraction of currency. Okay.
It's also a time saver thing because like each time you beat a chapter, you get an orb, like one orb.
Oh,
But
sure.
Some people find that tedious, so that's why it's like you mentioned, it's a time saver.
Yeah, so instead of playing multiple things to get multiple orbs, you can just pay for orbs. Yeah.
So there's another thing that the game does that is kind of on the shadier side. So basically, each time you use orbs, so basically every time you go to summon a hero, you get 5 options to pick from for different heroes. The first purchase of a hero costs 5 orbs. However, the second purchase costs 4, and then the one after is 3. So it's encouraging you to spend more, basically.
The total of the 5 summons rounds up to about 20 orbs.
Yep.
Okay. Yeah, that is very, very purposeful.
Oh yeah. a lot.
Okay. And I just want to just to be informative about this and the potential dangers of this. Whenever you are purchasing in-game money with real game money, that is abstracting your sense of money and abstracting your sense of currency, because orbs have a value, right? They're how many? I don't know, 100 orbs for 99 cents. Let's just say, but now it's changing what you understand of that number 100, because $100 can buy you a lot of things, whereas 20 orbs can only buy you 5 summons. So instead of saying I'm going to pay $5 for 5 summons, they're saying pay $5 for, I don't know, do math is literally what they're saying. Now you pay $5 to do math. And when your brain starts doing math, you start losing that understanding of $5, and that the fact that $5 will get you lunch. Okay, so this is a very purposeful thing that designers do, for better or worse. Usually for worse. But one reason why DLC is so prominent is, one, people keep buying it, so developers are going to keep putting it in their games, and 2, games cost a lot of money to make. And we're talking about games like that have budgets of $50 million to over hundreds of millions of dollars just to make one game. And nowadays, it is not enough to sell copies to recoup that expense. Unfortunately, with player expectations keep being the same, which is we want movie level graphics, which costs movie level graphic designers
There's a lot of money.
who need health insurance, who need to work in a building that has heat,
capture.
who needs a motion capture lab,
Yeah.
and professional equipment. Don't be surprised if you want that. Don't also be surprised when they ask you to pay for a cool skin for your character.
I guess an example of like what you said, the budget and why things may be so expensive. My example would be Destiny 2. Like some of the season passes or like extra DLCs, some of them cost the price like $50 for it's like a full game. I played through some of the other DLCs like Curse of Osiris or Warmind, and they're unbelievably short. So I'm like, why would you pay that much money if you're gonna probably make it very unrealistically short?
Well, one reason, as a meta gamer, one reason you might have to pay more money to Bungie is to ensure that Bungie keeps making games, or keeps supporting Destiny, because all those Destiny 2 servers aren't free to run.
Oh, yes, that's right.
Right, and I'm not saying you should do this or you should have sympathy for mega corporations, but Bungie's not a mega corporation, but so
Almost, maybe.
What's that?
Almost, maybe.
They made a few hits, yeah.
Yeah.
But that work?
Well known, at least.
Yeah, they're known enough, yeah. But unfortunately, that's going to have to do it for today. And today's real life advice is be kind to your neighbor. Thanks. See you again next time.